Well, this is Arts Notebook. I'm Stan Asher. Now, we are expecting a filmmaker. I'm anxious to talk to her about her work. Tell you a little bit about her. In the meantime, her name is Patricia Chica. And she seems to specialize in making short films. And I've always been an admirer of the short film, short story, because I feel that if you can condense something into a fairly short period of time, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes in a film, or the same number of pages in a story, you can condense your point and make it more succinctly than... it doesn't mean that feature films aren't good, but sometimes you get the sense, I don't know, I do, I don't know if you do, Mark, of a feature film dragging out the point that it has to make.
It happens.
Yeah. And the same thing may happen with stories. Now, she made a film called La Promesse. It's now available on a website called TOU.TV, TOU.TV, and this particular film seems to be 10 years old. And what intrigues me is there are two names among the cast members that I've met. Not in film. And I am anxious to ask her about these two people. One is Francine Grimaldi. Francine Grimaldi is la doyenne, if that's the same person, of reviewers and arts people on the media, and I think she has a column in La Presse, and she also is on French radio and sometimes television. That is indeed, if I'm not mistaken, Patricia Chica. Hi. Yeah, pull up a seat and we'll talk. I was just about to talk about your film without you being here, but I think it's a little better to talk about it when you're here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, La Promesse is the title of the film that I have listed on your webpage.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, is it only in French, or is there an English version?
It's an original French version, but we have subtitles in English. Yes.
Okay. Now, just as you were walking along the hall, I said that I looked at the cast list, and I saw a couple of familiar names.
Yes, we have a great cast of Quebec actors.
Yeah. The person that immediately came to mind, and I'm wondering if it is the same person I know, is Francine Grimaldi, the arts critic.
Absolutely.
That is her, okay.
It is her. It's actually one of her very few film appearances.
Oh, I know she talks about film on the radio and in the newspapers, but she doesn't appear in them herself, does she?
Well, Francine has been someone who has supported my career a lot since the beginning. And when I wrote the film, I thought of including her in the cast.
Did you write a part in for her? Sort of?
The part was not written for her, but I think we needed someone as flamboyant as her.
Ah, yeah, right.
And she played in her own clothes. Like
she came with the turban and the long dress.
The long, flowerful dress.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
And it was very funny because I told her, you just got to be yourself. You don't have to act.
Okay.
And she was in the film. She was fabulous. Very funny.
The film was made some time ago, I understand, originally.
It was shot a little over 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I got here, 10 years ago. Okay.
But we decided to re-release the film this year because it's the 10th anniversary. And a lot of people over the years have written emails to me and asked, where can I see this movie?
Well, now I want to see it, but I'll see it on your website.
Yes, it's on the TOU.TV.
TOU, what is that supposed to mean?
TOU means everything in French, but it's written TOU.TV, and it's Radio Canada. That has that website.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. Now, the 10th anniversary of that film, but I hope I am not going to goof on this one. About 6 months ago, there was a film that was showing in one of the local festivals, and the actress who played the lead role, whom I had known from before, came here to talk about it, Michelle Beaubac.
Yes.
So I got the right person.
Yes, Michelle Beaubac, she played the lead role in my new short, Day Before Yesterday.
That's it.
And I remember that being one of her best interviews, the one you did here at the station.
I enjoyed very much talking to her.
Yeah, she's a great lady.
Now, I was saying to our producer, Mark, before, and I wanted you to kind of back me up, or maybe not, on this. I am a fan of short films and short stories in literature because I think, and I haven't seen this film, but I did see the one The Day Before Yesterday, I think that if you can condense an idea into 15, 20, 30 minutes, it's a great skill. And if you can write a story that's 15 or 20 minute pages or something like that, or 10 pages or even less, because sometimes a feature film has too much time to develop the story.
It's true. I think writing a short, it's it's a skill because you really have to go straight to the point, have your punchline.
Do you specialize in shorts? Or are you going to eventually, or have you already done features?
I've done a documentary feature, Rockabilly 514.
Oh, yes, I've heard of that, yeah.
That did really well in the festival circuit on Bravo, Canal Day.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And, but I'm writing, I'm collaborating with a writer, Stéphanie Larue, who is very skilled, and we're working on a feature film together based on an original story that I've been carrying with me for 20 years.
But,
but it's
like some filmmakers, you probably won't say too much about the plot in advance, eh?
It's the story of a young guitar player, rock and roll guitar player from the 80s who reincarnates herself after an overdose. But instead of reincarnating herself in the future, she goes back into her favorite era,
which
late 60s, 1967, Jimi Hendrix period, and she relives that era just before she was born, like a few months before her birth.
Let's get back to La Promesse.
Okay.
I have here this French language summary, but I perhaps be better off if I ask you to give me a little outline in English.
Absolutely. It's the story of a teenage girl, 1988. She's 12, and she writes a letter to herself when she will turn 25 in the year 2000, the new millennium. And she writes her dreams.
Oh, that's your 10th anniversary, right?
Yes, and she says to herself as an adult, this is me when you're a teenager, and I wanted to become a successful singer. And don't forget to keep your promise to meet Jimmy, her first boyfriend, on December 31st, 1999, at the eve of the turn of the new millennium.
Y2K.
Yes, exactly.
Which never happened.
It's true. So therefore, she forgets about the letter, and the French teacher who asked them to do this assignment sends the letter to her house, but she has moved, so the parents get the letter, and she gets it on time, maybe a day before the turn of the millennium, and she's torn apart, like, I forgot about this letter, what should I do? Should I show up to this meeting? Will he show up? And she realizes that nothing of her dreams were realized by the time she turned 25. And she re-questions her life, like where her priorities went.
But you don't want to be a spoiler and give the ending away.
I won't give the ending away because the film is available for free on 2.tv.
Okay, so as soon as I get home, I'm going to check it out.
Yeah.
That's right. So the film was made 10 years ago. You have a reference here in the paper that I got from you on a webpage that some of it takes place on the mountain here.
Yes, on the mountain.
So the film is set in Montreal.
It's all Montreal.
Oh, wow,
100%. Montrealers would love this film because we really show it under a beautiful light.
And you don't pretend that Montreal is another city.
Oh, no. I
like
love my city.
I
love Montreal. This is my city, and I show it. And a lot of people of the reviews I got back in the day when the film was released 10 years ago, they said, wow, it's the first time that Montreal looks like Montreal, and we recognize the places, and we feel like it's a film about us, our generation.
Am I correct that in a way it's your adopted city?
It is my adopted city.
So that's not people who come later to a city can really be excited about it.
Yes, and in my first 10 years work in short films, if you look at them, you'll see that Montreal looks beautiful.
Day Before Yesterday, that's set in Montreal?
It is set in Montreal, and we don't hide it, even though it's an English film. Because the actress is an Anglophone, and how I see it's a woman who comes from another town to live in Montreal.
Yes, that's right. It's coming back to me now.
So that's why it's set in English, but the police officer is played by Jacques Godin.
Oh, yes. How did you get those big names?
Well, I think I discovered Jacques Godin in 1992 when I was still a teenager, and I watched a film with Roy Dupuis, Being at Home with Claude.
Oh, I remember that one, yeah.
And I was blown away by that actor, and I always knew I was going to work with him. And when we offered him the role, his agent said, he accepted. He loves the story. He loves the script.
Sure, and you could pay him $10 million. I don't think so.
I don't think for shorts in Quebec we're able to pay that, but we did pay everyone on that short extra fees. So that was great, and he accepted, and we did a first encounter without cameras and anything, and Wow, he was
and he
amazing.
got right into the part. And there's another well-known actor who plays there too.
Richard Robitaille.
That's right, yeah.
And he also, I knew from doing casting before in my early 20s, and he's great. I love those actors, and I was very lucky that a lot of the great actors here in town, they want to work with me. And I think it's amazing.
How did you get into the business? Did you have a film school background here or somewhere else?
Yes, I studied at Concordia University.
Good.
And I graduated from there, and I started straight away, did a lot of internships while I was still at school, so I didn't waste any years trying to get into the business. I knew I wanted to do that and only that, so since I was 16, I was involved in different projects and filming with my own camera or somebody else's camera that I borrowed. So that's all I've been doing for 20 years.
Yeah. If it isn't too personal, where are you originally from?
I was born in El Salvador, Central America.
That's what I thought. I think it was Michelle told me that. That's right.
Oh, okay. And I came here during the war, the Civil War in El Salvador in 1981. With my family, and I grew up in Montreal in French. So I was born in Spanish, grew up in French, studied in French, and now I work in English.
Went to Concordia where you studied in English, that's right, and you work in English as well. Will you make films in English too, or are they all in French?
The early films are in French, but lately I've been doing mostly English films. Yes, I get funding from Ontario.
Oh,
so that's great, why I do them.
And this one, the film La Promesse, which is called what, The Promise in English?
The Promise.
Has been all over the place. I have lists here, best film in Rhode Island and Grand Prix, and I don't know this particular festival, Saint-Afrique, is that correct?
Yes, that's a festival that doesn't exist anymore. It was in the Midi-Pyrénées in France, a great short film festival.
And it says it was presented, or I guess it's just yesterday, am I correct, was presented in Australia? Yes,
yesterday they did a retrospect of shorts, and I was part of that retrospect from
in Melbourne.
In Melbourne, in Australia. And the day before yesterday will be at Cinematheque in Melbourne in March.
Yeah, I know because my son's a filmmaker what's involved in getting grants and getting films out.
Yes.
And he used to rebel against, in fact he still does, against having to pay an entry fee to go into the festival. And then if they accept it, they keep all the money from the box office. And maybe if he's lucky, they send him a ticket to come to see the film or to appear.
It is very expensive.
I'm not sure if that's something that people get concerned about or not.
It is extremely expensive to have festivals in the circuit. For my latest, the short that I directed, the last one, I invested at least $3,000 out of my pockets just to have the films entered into festivals. Luckily, I have a lot of contacts now because I've been doing it for 13 years. So a lot of the festivals invite me and I don't have to pay anymore.
Yeah, that's what my son found too.
Yeah, but you got to build up your name, and if you're a first-time director, that's the hardest part because no one knows you and you have to prove that your film is good.
Well, he had actually 2 films in the Toronto Film Festival in the past 10 years, but that's over now, and you're only as good as your last project.
Exactly.
The film, it says that you wrote and produced and directed it, so this is pretty much, all of these films are pretty much your baby, yeah?
Yes, it is my baby. It's my first film.
That was the first one?
The first professional one, because I did a lot of student films before, and independent, like on the side, but they didn't really count as
it's not
well-crafted with a budget and actors. So this is my first professional film, and I put everything in it. It took me 3 years to reimburse my debt.
Wow!
Because I got funding from the NFB.
For post-production or
for production? They didn't give money. They gave me equipment.
Yeah,
and
that's
services.
That's often what they do. That's right.
The FAPS program and the CINQ for the French version, and you try to make films here with whatever you have as resources, and everybody worked for free on that film. We were all Concordia graduates working on it, and all the actors accepted to play for free, so that was great. But we still did the UDA contracts, but deferred payments. You don't make money with shorts. You do it.
Yeah, that was my next question. And again, a kind of perhaps an awkward one. I guess it is not possible to make your living simply from making short films.
No, not at all. No, it's so
you've got to have another life doing something else.
Yes, making shorts, it's a labor of love. Yeah. And this is how you build your identity as a filmmaker as well. You're able to experiment more. And it's great just to discover talent as well. Once
you get used to the technique of raising funds, and it's never easy, but you learn more each time, I think.
Yes, each time I learn, and it's always you have to start from scratch. Every project you have to convince the right people to invest money. It's not easy. I get a lot of refusals. People think, oh, your films, you're always shooting, but I do get refusals, and I have to go back to the computer, rewrite the screenplays, and work to improve my product. And that's how it is in the business.
Have things changed sufficiently so that there isn't a stigma of a woman, I'm trying to make films? Is that a problem anymore, or that's changed?
I think in the fiction world, as a documentary filmmaker, I don't feel...
No, there are a lot of women who are making documentaries.
Yes, I don't have any problems with documentaries. But in the fiction world, to do features for women, it's we're a minority, and that's a fact.
But that's not stopping you.
Oh, absolutely not. Nothing is going to stop me.
I think so. Where else can some of your films be seen presently? Are they going to be in Montreal? Or?
I had a very busy year showing my films in Montreal. I had a retrospect at Centre-Ville last June with all my films. Yeah. But I always announce everything on Facebook or Twitter or on my website. So there are some films still circulating in the festival circuit. So
your website is patriciachica.com.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. The other people that were listening, that are names, I should say, are in your thing. The lady is called Victoria in the story, and the actress is called Victoria?
Yes,
is that a
Victoria Sanchez. It is a coincidence because when I wrote the script, I had Jennifer Lopez in mind. And you have to think 10 years ago.
And she wasn't available.
And, of course, I called the agent in L.A., and they told me, she would be interested, but now she's releasing her first album on the 6th, and she's too busy touring. And
you really tried to get her?
I did, because I was a casting director before. So I had access to all these agents in L.A. But then, while I was writing the script, I was also casting a Showtime series, the Bonanno series, a mafia series.
I sort of remember that.
That was shot here in Montreal, and I discovered Victoria Sanchez like that. I auditioned her for another role.
And then you had her in mind.
And then I had her in mind while I was rewriting the screenplay, and I offered her the role, and I said, I wrote this story, this new twist to the story based on you, and she didn't know that. So, of course, she accepted the role.
That's very flattering.
And we kept the name Victoria because I wanted the character to have victory, to be a winner.
Okay.
And I thought, wow, this suits the story so well, so we kept her real first name.
So we're almost at the end of our time, and so let me just before thank you very much for coming up in the middle of the winter and all that, and talking about
inviting
the film. Me. After I saw Michelle's appearance in that film, mind you, I saw it in a little DVD player.
Yes.
It wasn't the same thing, but I wanted to find out more about other things that you had done. But again, thank you very much for joining and talking about it, and I hope as soon as I get home later today, I'll flip on 2TV and watch your movie.
Yes, thank you very much. And if people want to get the DVD, they can always write me an email via Facebook or my website.
Good. Okay, so that is that's the way things get moved around these days.
Exactly.
Okay, thanks very much for coming up.
Thank you very much, Stanley. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, same here. Okay, we're almost at the time where we switch, right? So we didn't get to do the quiz next week. Okay.